Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world can live as one.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth Orange with me, Thomas, and my wonderful co-host Andrew.
I was going to do a Carl Pilkington. Right.
We're not doing Carl Pilkington. If anything, I'm more like Carl Pilkington than you are.
I have to do the Ricky Gervais laugh. Right.
Can we start again? I don't mind. Do you want to keep this in?
Yeah, whatever.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth Orange with me.
Started again, didn't
Yes,
we?
for frick's
No, you
sake.
have to keep it in.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Earth Orange with me, Thomas, and my wonderful co-host Andrew.
Hello.
How are you? Have you had a good week?
Whoa, too many questions. First off, yes. Second, good.
Good. Please. Oh dear Lord. Right, so
I haven't got it in the right order.
thank you. Right,
Got this far, can you believe it?
yes,
Almost
indeed.
there.
This is officially episode number.
That's not right.
No, it's
Look at that.
officially episode number 11,
No, it's not.
isn't it?
No, it is episode 10.
No.
Because last episode was episode 9. We don't know. I'm pretty sure it's episode 10. Which means that there's 12 episodes. Are we on the last episode?
No, because next week's will be the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
So it's episode 11. So you saying this is episode 10, which it is in the stories,
Yeah.
but it's really episode 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
It
sounds good to
makes
me.
perfect sense, believe me. And then obviously episode 12 is going to be our review and discuss and everything like that.
Yeah, sure.
So this is technically episode 11, but in reality it's episode 11, but it's actually episode 10.
Do you know what? If anyone out there is keeping score, then please just write in.
Also, can you remember what the score is from last week, actually?
Yeah, it's like 5-4.
Superb.
No, 6-4.
Yes!
Oh, God.
Right, sorry about that. Right, okay, so this is going to be our last episode on Marvel for a while.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought we've got 2 more episodes to go.
No.
So next episode is the... So the next episode is the retrospective, is it?
Yes.
Oh, are we there already?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be too good.
Yeah, because if this is number...
Oh, well, I can't win then, can I? That's nothing I can do. Oh, that's a shame. All right.
You never know. You might even be able to pull it back by doing a wonderful story today.
What, with 2 points?
And
so good it says 2 points.
You know, I could be really... With me being ill, I might be in a really nice mood and give you 2
see.
points.
Can I move the mic over? Is that
If you
all
want
right?
to, fine.
I'm not sure if it's... Hello. Just lesser Thomas, more me. I think that's what we need.
Wow.
That's one of the comments that I received.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm joking.
I'll just leave if
It
you
was
like.
actually less of both of us. If I could just...
Sit in silence.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, okay, so, I suppose, really, we probably should really talk about what we're going to talk about today.
That would be a good thing.
So, I sent you a message
Yeah.
the other day saying, should we either do X-Men or Fantastic Four? And you replied with the X-Men. So, we're going to be doing the X-Men today.
Okay.
So, what would you like
Well,
to do
here's what I was
with
thinking.
the X-Men?
I was thinking, I actually thought we had 2 episodes left. So,
Okay.
here's what I was thinking. I was thinking we do a 2-parter.
Okay.
So, technically it's 4 acts, but it's split across 2 episodes. And basically, what I was thinking was for each act is a different mini story about a different X-Men.
Okay.
And the main overarching story is it's got to end with the first, well, all of them coming together as the X-Men in the 90s, as it's known, the full team. So each act's a different X-Men. Yeah?
Okay, so we're going to have 4
acts, and at
So,
the end,
so we're going to have 4 team members.
yeah, at the end of each act, they've got to join the X-Men, and then we do a little epilogue at the end, which kind of introduces their first mission, as it were, or one big mission.
Okay.
Does that make any sense to you? So
Yeah.
technically, it's 5 acts. The epilogue doesn't have to be that long.
Okay. But after all 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Fine.
Do you want to split it into 2 episodes?
Sure.
So we've actually made the podcast a bit longer there.
It's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Right, so X-Men.
So scrap what I said earlier on, then that's fine.
What was that?
About this being one of the last days. Don't
One of
worry.
the last episodes?
Yeah, one of the last episodes. Ever.
Yeah, so
Okay.
does that sound alright?
Yeah,
so,
fine.
Right, so the overarching story is going to be, I guess, how... I'm just trying to think how to describe it. I guess how the team came to be in its entirety, I suppose, which would be during the 90s, wouldn't it? Where they got the full lineup.
When you say full lineup,
Well, not full lineup.
what are we
obviously,
talking about?
Not all the not whatever.
Are we talking about Are we talking like original team?
Well, no, because I was looking this up, and obviously the original team is like Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Archangel, isn't it? And Angel and Jean,
Yeah.
of course, Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, why couldn't we do that?
We could focus on them.
Well, or we could say have our own original lineup of the X-Men, if you wanted to. Wait, so
Well, what I was going with this is it will give us the creativity to pick any X-Men that we want.
okay,
So it's basically how they join the team.
okay.
But
So it doesn't.
4 different
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily need to be.
those
Okay.
4 originals, as it were, 5 originals. How's that sound?
Yeah, sure.
So you can pick any X-Men you want,
Okay.
and it's 4 acts plus epilogue.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the epilogue being set in 2008? With the advent of this event, we don't have to specify what the event is, but it can be.
Yeah, but hang on, that's confusing then because you're saying that the epilogue that's going to be set like 10 years later or like 18 years later.
Yeah. So it's just to introduce. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Am I even speaking English? Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. I don't understand why there would be a big leap, but if you can convince me with the big leap, then we'll go with it.
Well, technically, we don't have to talk about it until next episode. So
Yeah.
Shall we leave it in, and we'll discuss it?
Yeah, and then
next
you
episode?
off air you can talk about it, and you can
Right.
try and convince me at work
Oh, right. Okay.
when we're
I
actually
have to seduce you.
yeah, when we're actually meant to be doing work, and you have to try and work it out for me.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So 4 acts.
Right.
Right. So here's the elements. So each act has to be a different X-Men. Yeah.
Right.
But it can be any.
Okay.
I like your enthusiasm for this. Have you got any elements? I've got loads of elements I'll put in.
Okay. Well, I suppose it has to. Xavier has to at least appear.
Yeah, sure. Has to include Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Is that all you got?
At the moment, yeah, but give me a second.
It's alright, I got loads. Right, I want it to include a sacrifice. This is across all 4.
What kind of sacrifice?
That's up to you.
But knowing you'll probably say, oh, their parents have died or something like that.
Knowing me?
Yeah.
That's not a sacrifice. No, I mean like putting. How is that a sacrifice?
Well, the idea of say like kind of yeah, like yeah, okay, fine.
So
we'll
yeah,
go for
the
that.
idea of It has to. The next one is though. It has to include the death of a loved one.
Oh, no, we're not having that.
Right. Okay. We're not having that one.
No.
Right. So it has to include some kind of self-sacrifice. Is what I'm trying to say.
Self-sacrifice. Okay.
It doesn't have to be an X-Men. It can be someone that they know.
Okay.
Has to include a member of Shield.
No.
No. Oh.
Because I think that's just too. Because it's roped that too much into last week.
Okay. I'm trying to create a.
Okay, fine. Okay,
here,
fine. Go on. Carry on.
If you don't want it, it's okay.
Oh no, you've written it down in the book now, haven't you?
Oh yeah, can't possibly undo that. Anything else from you? You won't like the other one I came up with then.
No, it has to mention either Magneto or his Brotherhood of Mutants.
Okay.
So you either have to see or it can be mentioned about them.
Okay. Cool.
Go on then, what's your last one?
It has to include a mention or appearance of Deadpool.
No.
No?
No.
All right. Okay.
You know how you under the impression I don't like Wolverine?
You don't like Deadpool even more?
I really don't like Deadpool.
Oh my god.
So that's not happening.
Wow.
Okay. There's only very few rules that I set down in this podcast.
No Wolverine, no Deadpool.
No, I'll allow Wolverine.
Well, you're going to have to because it might be one of my choices.
Fine, you can go first.
Hang on. Can I go first?
Yes, you can.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's enough.
But you've got 5. How many you got?
Over 4 acts,
One,
though. That's
two.
quite a long time.
Yeah.
Pretty much, well, that wasn't last. No, I went first last week. I remember because I had to excruciatingly go through the history of Shield.
Okay, fine. So it's me then, is it?
Well, if it's not me, I mean, there's only one other choice. Unfortunately, it's you.
Damn it! This is where we need a guest. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at these elements again. So you've got
4 acts. Each act has to be a different X-Men.
Yes.
Has to include Xavier.
Yes.
Has to include some kind of self-sacrifice.
Yes.
Has to include a member of Shield.
Yes.
And it has to include Magneto.
Or the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Right. Which comprises of? Is that the one with? Who's in that one? Is it the Mystique one and all that crap? Am I thinking of something else?
No.
Yeah, Mystique.
Yeah.
Archangel and
No. Not Archangel, because Archangel's the same person as Angel.
I know that.
But that's you can't have. Okay, fine.
Is he in it?
No.
Right. Okay.
You're usually thinking of Mystique, then you go into people like Toad, Quicksilver,
Right. Okay. All those.
Scarlet Witch,
Juggernaut,
Scarlet
all that.
Witch. Not necessarily Juggernaut.
No.
Not necessarily. I don't believe he's. Apart from in the film, I don't think he was in it in the comics. Occasionally, I don't actually know. I know he was in it in the films. I don't know if he's in it in the comics or not. But he was a part of it in the TV
He's always
series.
he's always seemed a villain to me.
No, it was Sabretooth.
Oh. Ooh.
I don't know about that. I know he was a part of it in the film, but I can't remember anything else.
Right.
Right. Okay. So we're doing 2 acts today, aren't we?
2 acts
So
today.
it's the first and the second. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. My first X-Men character is going to be good old Hanky McCoy.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hank McCoy, also known to me and you as Beastie,
Okay.
as Jack Sparrow would call him. Hello, Beastie. I saw that film last night. That's hence why. But
I was saying.
no, no, I did watch it on.
Got a crossover.
No, but it's so. Hank McCoy is a incredibly intelligent, say 19-year-old man, well 19-year-old boy, who is he's always been, obviously, like I say, he's always intelligent, so he's always kind of been that very much that kind of class nerd and everything like that, and everyone sort of picked on him but there's only one redeeming quality, which was he was brilliant at sports.
Right. Redeeming, a bit harsh.
Well, yeah, because, all right, sorry. And obviously he was brilliant at football and, other things, like kind of like baseball and climbing and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
And so obviously that was kind of, he had the respect from his peers as the, intelligent, people that used to be parts of, science club and maths club and all that sort of stuff. And also had the respect of all the people that used to play all the sports. And, obviously he was that sort of in the middle, but obviously he didn't really belong to either because there was something not quite right. Okay?
Still an outsider then?
Yes.
Despite all that? Okay.
Yes. And obviously, like I say, obviously being so intelligent, he's very well respected by the staff, and also being very good at sports, he's also catches the eyes of the girls. But obviously, unfortunately, they kind of get a bit put off him because of his unnaturally large feet and hands.
Right. Yeah, cool.
What are you laughing at?
No, nothing. Yeah, go on.
Okay. And so one day he's heading home from school, and he's got his rucksack on and all that sort of stuff. He's heading, just walking down the block, and a school bus goes past, and someone throws a basketball at him, and quick as a flash, he does a really quick turn, grabs it, and just throws it with exact position.
Position, yeah.
Yep, straight through the open window, and breaks the guy's nose.
Oh, Jesus.
And Hank's a bit like, oh, that's not very good, is it? Anyway, he's carrying on, and as he's walking along, he hears a voice in his head saying, Hank, my name is Charles. I need to talk to you about what is happening to you. And Hank's a bit creeped out by this, so he puts his earphones in, and he has his portable Walkman, and he carries on walking, but the voice carries on. So he starts running quicker and quicker, and finally gets home. And as he gets into his house where he lives with his parents, he goes into the sitting room, and there with his father and his mother is a man in a wheelchair. And this man has the same voice as the voice in his head. And he says, Hello, Hank. My name is Professor Charles Xavier. I've come here to offer you the opportunity to come to my school where I'm going to help further gifted youngsters. And he's like, okay, well that's... so his parents are all like, well, Hank's got obviously all these wonderful brains. He could go to any college he wanted to in the entirety of the world. But obviously he's also got the ability to do all these wonderful things on the sports field and all that sort of stuff. We just don't know what he would like. So he says to Professor Xavier, look, I'll give you, if it's all right, I'll give me a couple of days and I'll think it over and I'll decide on what I want to do. He said, that's not a problem, fine, I'll come back on Friday. Mark you, this is Wednesday. Should have mentioned that, Wednesday.
No, you didn't specifically mention it was Wednesday.
But it's Wednesday.
Right.
So he'll be back in 2 days' time when it's the Friday. Yeah?
Cool.
See, I know the days of the week, it's all good.
Wicked. Nose days of the week.
Right, okay. Anyway, the next day,
Sorry, I do apologise. Go on.
are you listening to this or are you just taking the mic?
No, I am listening.
Look, I'm ill and you're just laughing at me. I don't like it. Don't try it. Don't be trying to be sympathetic, you swine.
Right, okay, yeah. Wicked.
Anyway,
Yeah, get on with it.
okay, anyway. The next day, so which is Thursday, Hank goes off to school. And he's walking along the corridor and he's heading towards his locker. And he's just going to put all his, kind of stuff that he needs for the day ahead from his locker into his bag so he can walk around the school and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, as he's just about to close the locker door and lock it, the guy from the bus the night before grabs it open, forces it open, and just him and his mates pin Hank up against the other lockers and start beating him up. And what they do is they take his rucksack off, throw it into the locker, and because obviously Hank broke this guy's nose, he was not gonna lie, he was quite a good-looking guy, and what's happened there is he's now with a broken nose. He doesn't look, let's say, not as attractive as he used to do. So that's a bit of a shock for him because he was a bit of a good-looking lad. Anyway, so he doesn't like not being so loved by all the women. Anyway, so going back to the point, he rips a piece of paper out of a book and he sets it alight. And he screws it up and he puts it on fire. He throws it into the locker with all of Hank's school bag and all of his books and all of his notes for all of the classes that he's had and all that sort of stuff. And obviously you can imagine, with Hank being quite an intelligent guy, this would be quite a bit of a sacrifice for him that he's lost. Mm-hmm. And obviously I'm sure there's other things in there, other personal things, like photographs and stuff like that, but that's that. Anyway, when he finally gets, one of the things I have to say to you is, as this is happening, the rest of this gang is holding Hank back, so that he's trying to fight to, stop this from happening. And every time he's struggling more and more, they keep on hitting him. He keeps on just fighting back, saying, "Get out of my way, get out of my way." They're just not doing it. Until finally the fire alarm goes off. And obviously smoke's covering all the corridor and all that sort of stuff. And you can imagine it's not going to be good for any of Hank's belongings. So, anyway, the bell, after it's all been, after the fire's been put out and all that sort of stuff, and he has a look and he basically sees that there's nothing left. If any paper is left, it's all just completely blackened, so you can't even read anything that's written on it. Mm-hmm. And obviously he probably knew it all off by heart anyway, but he wanted to, he liked having the notes just so he could look over it just to make sure he was correct. So it's a bit of a shock to him. He's upset. Anyway, he goes, after he's spoken to the principal, and the principal's kind of like saying, "Now look, Hank, what happened?" And he told the principal what happened, so the principal knows, and he's a bit kind of like, we can't really prove anything. You got any kind of harder evidence? He said, "Well, look, you had a whole corridor full of students. Ask them." And so, anyway, but after that, he goes off to his lessons and all that sort of stuff. And then over the tannoy, throughout the day, kind of like, there's occasional announcements over the tannoy saying, "Can this student from this class, please come to the principal's office. Then, anyway, around kind of 2 o'clock time, there is an announcement saying, can all students that have had to be called to the... could all students please come to the main hall to have an urgent assembly. And after about 20 minutes of getting all the students and all the staff in the main hall, the principal stands up and says, thank you very much for coming, students and staff. This is something that we have an agent here that is from from an organisation.
Can I just stop you?
No.
It sounds like you're trying to get all of them in.
I thought I have to. Isn't that what? No, I didn't. Oh,
no.
Even better then. Fine.
No, this is across all 4 acts.
Oh, that's fine
you
then.
can spread them out as much
right.
as you
I
want.
thought I had to do it in all.
No,
right.
no,
Okay.
I do beg your pardon. Yeah, this is across all 4
Right.
acts.
Oh, fair. That's even better then. Sound. Right. Okay. So scrap.
you can carry on.
No. Scrap the assembly idea then.
Oh, right.
Right. Okay. So obviously, like I say, not ordinary kind of the rest of the day kind of carries on as it was.
Right. So assembly didn't happen.
No, assembly didn't happen.
Right. That's all right.
Anyway.
I thought you were bloody... God, you're really knocking them out. It's like... pace yourself.
Anyway, so so the day went on as normal, and then obviously, kind of at the end of the day, he's walking home like he did the day before, and as the bus goes past, he's expecting something to be thrown at him. Even if, he just thought, he thought it's in retaliation for getting people in trouble. And nothing does happen, nothing gets thrown at him or anything like that. But so he's walking along and he thinks, well, maybe I've got away with this. And then then as he's just walking along, he gets grabbed from behind, and he gets thrown into this alley. And it's the guy who was the person who kind of set fire to all his lock and all that, and who threw the ball at him, and who Hank broke the nose of. And he is not very happy because he's been expelled. Because obviously he's set a fire in school and endangered life, all that sort of stuff. It's it's quite serious. In many ways, he's lucky that he didn't get the police involved. Really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're asking me. Yeah, I suppose you're right, really. You can cut off there.
Anyway.
I think it was an interactive story.
Yes, it is. I just want you to, feel as if you're a part. Anyway. And as this guy is he's attempting to beat Hank up. Mm-hmm. Hank is sort of, kind of jumping around this alleyway, kind of missing the punches and all that sort of stuff. So he starts hearing a voice again from Xavier, saying he's going to throw a left, so go to your right. He's going to try and do an uppercut, all that sort of stuff. So he's being pre-warned. So after this guy, I'm going to call him. Let's call him Butch. He gets tired, and so he just sort of collapses in tiredness.
Yeah.
And so Hank just runs off, and he goes home, and he was just thinking about this in his head, and he said, "Look, I'll take up this Professor Xavier's place when he comes tomorrow." And so he's saying to his parents, he goes home and he kind of tells his parents what happened today and everything like that. But he hasn't told them about kind of hearing Xavier's voice and listening to what he's saying because he thought this is a little bit weird. Who knows? They might think I'm a bit doolally. Who knows? Anyway, and as they're sitting down for dinner, there's a knock. There's a doorbell. Ding dong, and it's Xavier. And he's
Day early. Is this the next day?
No, this is just because obviously he's thought in his head.
Oh, right.
When Xavier comes, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to accept his place. So Xavier's like, well, he's already saying he'll accept it. Let's not wait. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Just imagine Xavier in his wheelchair, being like, "Right, get down the street now, quickly!"
Anyway, so he comes in and he says, "I know I'm early, but I just had a feeling that Hank would wish to start early on this journey." And Hank is like, "Yeah, I think it might be best if I talk up this place at this school for gifted youngsters." And Hank's parents are a bit sort of, "Oh, I don't know, it's who knows?" But he says, "Look, if I don't like it after a month, I'll come back. But I think it's right if I have a go at this." And so Xavier's like, "Well, look, there's the address in New York. Come get there for next Monday. Before all your belongings, I'll have a room waiting for you. I'm looking forward to teaching you." And that is my first act.
Cool.
Look at the smirk on his face. Look at the smirk on your face. I don't know how we're going to do this, though, Andrew.
We'll figure that out in a minute.
Oh, God. Go on then, what's your act one?
So he was only 19 when he joined.
Yes.
And he obviously didn't look like a beast.
No.
Oh.
I'll explain to you that later on, just because...
That's another story for another time, perhaps.
Yeah, but I'll explain to you later on about how that all happens.
Right. So...
Alright, so who are you going for?
You'll see.
Okay.
So, this story takes place... it starts hundreds of years ago.
Hundreds of years ago?
Yep. And a child is born in Africa with the ability to control the weather.
Right. I don't like the fact this is 100 years ago, but fair enough. Or hundreds of years ago.
Well, it's my story.
I don't like the sound of this.
We'll see how it goes, eh? See how it goes. So this child is born, and obviously she is revered and feared for her abilities.
Even as a baby?
Well, I mean, obviously they manifest as she grows up.
Okay.
But yeah, as she grows, obviously people start to realise that she has just something different about her, and she's got these powers, and people don't know. Well, obviously she's regarded as a sort of demigod, or a manifestation of a god, and she lives a kind of life of both constant danger and protection, because there are people who fear her and want her dead, who believe that she's some kind of witch. So some people believe that she's holy. No one knows. But that is her life as it is.
Okay.
And as she gets older, her hair goes a stark white with all the constant interaction with lightning that she has and things like that. I'll write some of that down in a minute.
Okay.
Anyway, so when she's in her teens, I've been thinking about this story for a while. I've been thinking this would be cool, but it's only today that I thought maybe it's a bit stupid. But well, I'm going to go with it. So anyway, one day a white man comes to the kind of village that she lives, having heard the tales of this legendary young girl who can control the weather. You right?
Yeah.
Go on.
No. Carry on.
And he meets her, and he's absolutely taken aback by her. I mean, not only is she has these wonderful powers and has this very prestigious place amongst all her community, almost godlike. She's very beautiful as well, and he's very taken by her, and he basically kind of manipulates her and her family into taking her to the West, basically back home, to Europe. And so she's taken out of her home, taken away from everybody that she knows, that she loves, being told that obviously she'll be able to return eventually. And she goes to Europe, where this guy is obviously hoping to make a lot of money off her. And her abilities, but he also falls for her. They're not. It's not like they do get on once she learns to speak English and things like that, and acclimatises to where she is. They do seem to build some kind of relationship, and he kind of proposes to her to take it a step further, and she rejects him. And for this, he won't have, and he goes into a maddening sort of unreasonable rage, and he returns to Africa to seek out an actual shaman or witch to put a curse on her. In his eyes, it's not so much a curse as it is a gift, and he asks this kind of sorcerer to preserve her as she is, in all her youth and her beauty, for all of time, basically. And so it's done, and the spell is cast upon this poor young woman. And it's not until, obviously, years and years and years go by, and she witnesses people that she loves, she's come to love, dying around her, including her family back in Africa, that she realises what's happened. That there's been some kind of revenge in the form of magic. Even this young man eventually, I mean, he goes off and finds his own family anyway, but even he passed away. And she becomes obsessed with finding release from this curse. It's been years and years and years, and like I say, she's seen people die around her, and she doesn't seem to age or anything like that.
It's close to 100, isn't it?
Huh?
It's close to hundreds of years.
Well, yeah. Well, this is just in her lifetime.
Okay.
Let alone the hundreds of years afterwards. This is just the normal average lifetime. So she returns, and she finds out that the only release from this curse is the destruction of the bloodline that cast the curse, basically, of that young man's bloodline.
Right.
Anyway, so this is what she kind of. Oh, I can't go too far. I'm gonna. So this is what. So this becomes a bit of an obsession for her. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as that. Destroying everybody in this young man's bloodline is
Difficult.
well, yes, it's much. It's easy to say, and it's much more than she thought. So years and years go by, and she tries to make a life for herself. And throughout the decades and stuff like that, she finds fame. She finds 15 minutes of fame, and so on and so forth, and that dies down, and then something else, and then she lives like 100, like 5 lifetimes. One of these times, a young man comes to visit her, a young professor who's read about her. He's been researching superhumans throughout history and these kind of mythological people, and he's read about the girl from Africa which can control the weather. And he meets her. His name is Charles, a young Charles Xavier. I mean, at this time, like, he is very young, you know, early 20s maybe. Maybe even 19, so maybe even still in university. And I'm trying to avoid saying her name because I think it's pronounced Arero. I think Storm's
Aurora.
Is it Aurora?
Aurora.
Oh, well, okay. So Aurora, as she's known, is although she's maybe a bit older than him, she has wisdom and an air about her that is far beyond her years and very intimidating. And I'm
just saying it would be. He's hundreds of years old.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously he doesn't know that.
Oh, doesn't he? Okay. Tiny old.
Well, no, actually, no. Yeah, Xavier would know this. Xavier would know this.
Yeah,
not just from this. Not just from.
We're pointing at each
Yeah,
other's
no, yeah.
heads.
Sorry, you can't see that. Not just from his mind reading abilities. It's from the research that he's done.
Oh, so he's kind of picked out the idea that this woman sounds throughout the hundreds of years.
He's
sounds
connected
very similar.
the dots. Yeah, basically.
He uses his loaf, doesn't he? Shock.
He's not just a one-trick pony.
No, he's not.
Xavier.
Very good. I like this. Okay,
So that's why I wanted to meet her, because he's connected the dots throughout history, and he's drawn it, and he confronts her with this information, and she seems refreshed to hear it. You know, there's not many people that if any, he might be the first person. And he's talking about a group. He's talking about a safe haven for people like her, to where, you know, these stories such as hers don't have to be hidden away, and her abilities don't have to be such a sideshow or anything like that. And she laughs him off, basically. She completely rejects him and finds him ignorant, and despite his well-founded research, she dismisses the idea. So years later, following her obsession with this release from the curse, in which she has indeed killed people for this herself, she traces the bloodline back to somebody that she knows. And she finds out that indeed this Charles Xavier is part of this bloodline.
Okay.
And so one stormy night, Xavier finds Aurora in his house.
Is that a house though, or is it something bigger?
I'm gonna say it's not the academy yet.
Yeah, but he lives there. It's his house.
Oh, is it actually? Oh, right. Okay. Well, in which case,
The Xavier Institute is his house. It's
fair enough then.
The Xavier family home is the mansion.
Very well then. That's exactly.
Do you do any of your research?
I don't even know what superheroes are, to be honest.
Friggin' hell. Right.
So he's confronted by Aurora there, and basically Xavier talks her down, and Aurora is convinced by his earnesty, sincerity, and Xavier promises that they will find a release to this curse together, and indeed with the help of his new friends that he's managed to recruit, and she agrees, and that's kind of where she finds her home, and aptly she is christened Storm, and that is the rest. Is another tale for another time.
Okay, so that's your act one, is it?
That's my act one.
You're going to write up your notes?
Yeah, I've written one line.
Yeah, you write your notes. You write your notes, mate. Carry on. You write your notes. Deary me. So hang on, you've done. So I've done those two, and you've done those two.
I haven't done a self-sacrifice.
Haven't you?
No, I've only done Xavier.
Okay, I thought you'd... Okay.
Don't worry, I'm on it. I've got
Fine.
this planned out.
I'm pleased you have. I've got a Scooby. Well, that's what I was going to say to you. Obviously, I'll take this out when I'm editing. But do you know how much time we just sit in silence? And literally, I have to edit
Seriously?
it out. Yeah, literally, it's hilarious.
Oh my
Like, the amount of times, like, there's, like...
Is it me writing notes, is it?
Well, yeah, and little things about trying to come up with ideas. Yeah. And literally, that's why... You know the episode that's coming up next week? On Monday?
Yeah, episode 2. Episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah. We spent almost an hour and 35 minutes in recording. It's only an hour and 1 minute. The actual... By the time I've got it down...
So it's like 20 minutes of silence?
Pretty much.
Oh my god.
And you writing notes.
Wow.
So, hopefully, most of them will... even though a lot of them are kind of like... are long, when we've recorded them...
Yeah.
We might be able to get them down quite a bit by editing.
Amazing.
And I'm not going to lie, it's hard work. I've done all the DC ones. My goodness.
Oh, I bet you. Editing's not easy.
No.
Boring.
It's not even that. It's more down to the fact that trying to work out... Because obviously, you stop, you listen to the whole thing, you write down the timestamps for when you think things need to be cut out. You stop it at the first timestamp, and then you go, and then you have to listen to the whole thing again and find the next timestamp, and then you have to bring those two dividing bits that you've left together, and that's not easy. Not easy at all, Andrew. Right, who should I do next? Who should be my second one? Also, Andrew.
Yeah.
So, are we going to carry on doing this next week as well, or do you want to do the?
Yeah, next week we could do both next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can knock them both out next week.
Do you?
Yeah.
What, in one day or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, if you want to. I need to find out when I'm working next week. Actually, you could do that for me. Oh no, you can't because you haven't got your phone.
Well, I could look in box office. Can I? Or I don't know. Is that even reliable?
No, I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow. You finished your notes yet?
Hang on.
Right, so if I do... Okay, I know which... I think I know who I'm going to do now. Just to work out which of these elements. So I can't now use Xavier again, can I?
You can if you want. I'm not going to be that stringent. Because obviously...
Also, can I just ask, say if I do self-sacrifice...
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm just thinking, because I've got an idea of one character that I would like to use, but it's not really sacrifice...
What, do you want to just go for it and I'll be the judge of it?
Okay, we'll do. Because...
Well, right, I think I'm ready now. So if you want to go for your act 2.
Okay. Alright, got it. So, Act 2 for whatever this... What's this actual story going to be called? Just X-Men?
Yeah, kind of,
Okay.
yeah, for X-Men.
Okay, right, okay, so Act 2 by Thomas. I'm going to be centering my story on good old, faithful Scott.
I knew it. I'm surprised you didn't go for him first. I was really surprised you didn't go for him first. I knew you were going to do Cyclops.
Really?
Yeah,
How did you know that? Is it
because I know he's one of your favourites.
Yeah, alright. Fair enough. But another one of my favourites is Captain America. I haven't forced him down your neck, though, have I?
Well, he's been mentioned enough.
By who? Well, last week, yes.
He's been mentioned loads of times.
When? Last week.
Yeah.
And...
During the Blue Marvel.
Too true. That's
I
twice.
think he might have been mentioned during Squirrel Girl. Could be wrong.
Probably.
Why not?
Right, okay. So, right, okay, let me set the scene.
Yeah.
Scott is lying in a hospital bed
Okay.
with bandages tightly over his face, mainly over his eyes, so tight that he can't actually open his eyes.
Sure.
Okay. And he can also feel that there's bandages other parts of his body as well.
Okay. So that's where we're starting.
Yes. The reasoning behind this is because he has been taken out of the sea by the lifeguards because his parents and his younger brother were out in a private plane that unfortunately has they can't be certain of this, but has seemingly crashed into the sea and sank. And Scott seems to be the only survivor. And he is also he's terrified. The only thing he's been told he's only 14 at the time, but the only thing he's been told by the doctor is that a expert in this has said to them that the trauma that he has been involved in has affected him. And that they have been advised to keep his eyes closed because they don't know if the force that he hit the water may have disconnected them, or has actually almost completely disintegrated his eyes. So obviously they want to wait until his body is more healed before they examine and see what the situation is with his eyes. Anyway, a couple of days later, after he's woken up after apparently being in the hospital for about a 2-week period, he's still got his eyes bandaged. But he's able to he's able to have conversations with doctors and nurses and other patients. And the one thing he does remember before the crash is that his mom had put a life jacket on him and his brother Alex. So he doesn't quite understand why. He knew he was. The last thing he remembers is having the door of the plane opened, and then his memory goes blank. But he's assuming, he could be wrong, but he's assuming that his parents pushed him and his brother out. So if that is the case, he doesn't understand why his brother isn't there. He just doesn't understand. But he's upset. He doesn't like. The doctors are trying to be very understanding about it. Of course they are. But around 9 o'clock on this one evening, Scott starts hearing wheels being pushed away from his bed. And he doesn't quite understand, but and then he hears a voice talking to one of the nurses who's looked after him. And this nurse says to this person, "We'll give you 10 minutes. The whole of the ward is clear. All of the furniture has been taken out. You've got 10 minutes." And this other voice just says, "Thank you very much." And then you hear footsteps just walking towards the bed. And it's and this person introduces himself as Nick. Nick is a member of, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he has... this is from the Unusual Incident Unit of S.H.I.E.L.D. And he has been asked by his superior to come and find out what Scott remembers or knows about what happened in this plane. And it becomes quite clear through Nick asking certain questions to Scott that he doesn't really know anything. All he knows is that his father was a US famed, in the in the Air Force of the United States, a very well respected and able flyer, and he's won multiple awards and everything like that. And he knew how to fly a plane in any situation. If it be the worst hurricane in the world, he would be able to, under a bit of stress, of course, but he'd be able to handle a plane. Anyway, so he doesn't quite understand, because from what S.H.I.E.L.D. know and through the evidence that they've been able to gather, it was a perfectly ordinary day. There's no clouds, there was nothing. All that's apparently happened was a radar picked up some kind of pulse, and that pulse did something that caused the plane either to stop or start to crash. Anyway, Nick asks Scott if that is, if he remembers anything like that, and he says, all he remembers is that the plane was going perfectly all right. It was fine, and then it was it was going perfectly all right along the sky, and his father had basically only said a couple of minutes earlier, saying, we'll have another half an hour, and then we'll return back to the airstrip, and we'll land. But all he said was, he just after this, something happened, and all the lights started flashing and beeping and everything like that. And then he said all he remembers is his parents becoming his mother becoming very distressed, gathering Scott and Alex to her, and saying, like, come on, what's happening here? How can we we'll be able to get out of this? And his father being quite concerned, because this is something that he doesn't know this isn't something that he'd expected or anything like that, so he's a bit concerned. He keeps on trying to restart the engine and all that sort of stuff. He's a bit worried. Scott says that his father got the life jackets on, him and Scott and Alex, and the mother. And he was going to say, look, it sounds really ridiculous, but obviously it's that sort of old captain saying of, a good captain goes down with its ship. Even though and the Summers family have many generations of being in the Navy of America, but Scott's father was the first one to have gone into the Air Force. Anyway, so Scott is kind of getting a little bit distressed now, thinking, I'm going to have to. I'm having to try and deal with this. Obviously, I'm like the only survivor. I don't know if I can, how am I going to live? And Nick says, look, we at Shield will try and find the best place for you. But it obviously, as your parents had no siblings, and you've got no aunts and uncles or any cousins or anything like that, and obviously as your grandparents, both sets of your grandparents are both dead, there's no kind of family that we could leave you with, so we may have to let you go into kind of a foster care or up for adoption or something like that, but we at Shield would try and keep some kind of eye on you to make sure that you're still being looked after correctly and all that sort of stuff. And Scott gets very angry with that and says, "No, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going to be put up for adoption or anything like that. I'm still Scott Summers. I'm still Scott Summers. I'm still Scott Summers. I'm still Scott Summers." And then Nick says, "Look, thank you very much for everything you've given, all the information you've given me. It's really helpful. It's nearly time that I have to leave. So thank you very much. I'll come back in a week. Hopefully you'll have good news and you'll be able to maybe get some of these bandages off, and we can see what we need to deal with when it's time for you to come out of here." And so he says, "Let me take your hand," and he shakes Scott's hand and he puts it back down on the bed. And he hears Nick leave. And he's just sitting there in silence. And then he hears a voice saying, "Scott, my name is Charles. What do you mean? There's been someone in the room with us all the time. What's going on? What's going on? I said, no, Scott. I'm 100 miles away. I'm seated in a comfy armchair in my mansion. But I'm here to offer you a proposition. The proposition to become a part of something much bigger, something much greater than you alone. The opportunity to become a student, a member of an elite school where you can help the rest of the world. Can you remember this address, Scott? He gives him an address in New York, and he says, once you come out of hospital, find your way to this address, and a place will be waiting for you. And that's the end of Act 2.
Oh, right, okay. Wow. Okay.
Like that?
It's very simple.
Yeah?
I think you could have said more.
Oh, well, you know.
I know that you're milking it, because I'm sure you want to do a proper Cyclops one, but I think you could have said more there. But...
Bloody hell.
No, it's fine. It's your story. Right. Last but not least. Right, you might need to remember... You might have to remind me of her name, if you know it.
Oh.
Do you know her name? I mean, I can get through the whole story without saying her name.
Yeah. Well, it's actually... Well, in the comics, it's never actually properly revealed.
Oh, right. In which case, that's probably better.
But a lot of people call her Marie.
Right, that'll do. I don't know why I'm writing it down. I'm sure I can remember that name. Marie. Right, okay. So, this...
Do you know anything about her?
Do I know anything about
Yeah.
her?
Do you know anything about her origin?
I know her mother.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on.
But other than that, I know her powers. But
Okay.
right, we'll see what happens here. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of looks. Right, so this actually takes place in the early 90s. So this is quite close to the deadline, as it were. Or at least around the 90s.
I should probably say both of my stories happen about the sort of mid to late 80s.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
Sorry, I probably should have said that earlier. Unless I did. Did I say that earlier?
No, you didn't mention at the time.
Okay.
Mid to late 80s. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
What? And obviously yours is hundreds of years in the past.
Yeah, so hundreds... Yeah. Millions of years ago...
1980s, the 1980s, and the 1990s. Gaia.
It's quite a span there.
It really is. Carry on.
So, somewhere in the deep south, some God knows end of nowhere.
Loving your geography.
Yeah.
Good.
Of America, there is this young girl in high school who is aspiring to help people. She wants to be a doctor. That's her big goal. Her parents weren't very ambitious, and she wants the parents that. Yeah, no, I'm sticking with that. Her parents weren't very ambitious.
Sorry, her parents weren't very... what, for themselves or for her?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
They're just,
I shouldn't laugh at that, but that's just...
Why is that funny?
I don't know, it's just her parents weren't very ambitious. Sorry.
Well, they certainly didn't want to be anything like a doctor or anything. They're simple folk. But she wanted to be different from
they're
them.
like country bumpkins.
No, I'm not going to go completely... She's not stereotypical. But...
Okay.
Yeah, they certainly... They just didn't have any dreams like that.
Okay.
Or at least they've given up on them, if they have.
fine.
But this young girl is determined. She wants to help people. She wants to make the world a better place by healing people.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants to be a doctor. And she's got a best friend in the world who I'm going to call... Shall I go that way? Shall I get that over? Yeah, so her best friend in the world, who is called Raven. And they met in high school. Go on.
Well, actually, no, carry on. No, don't. I'll ask the question later on, after you've made it more clear so I can understand.
Okay. Yeah, so they told each other everything. They're kind of inseparable after they met. However, having said that, when Marie, her name is, went off to study medicine.
Pardon?
That's what doctors do, right? Isn't it, medicine?
No, dentistry.
Oh, right. She wants to be a dentist.
Okay.
Raven went a different path, and it was a bit of a darker path. There was a time when they started spending less time together, and Raven seemed to be busy, and there seemed to be this group that Raven was getting involved with. Don't worry. And yeah, but they still, Raven still tried to keep in contact with her, but Marie was feeling it less and less because she didn't see that as a good path, and she wanted to be good. She wanted to help people, not go down this dark path that Raven seemed to be going down. So she distanced herself from her, and eventually they didn't talk at all. So for the first couple of years of her course at uni, she wasn't really enjoying it. She wasn't really getting into it. She didn't feel like she was helping people. She felt she was helping more like plastic dummies and observing people more than anything. She wanted to get hands-on. You know what I mean? She wanted to get hands-on and, actually help people.
Right.
Which way should I go with this? So, one day she kind of took it into her own hands, and she took a job at a local clinic. Yeah. Despite her uni's kind of rules about it, just so she can actually start dealing with patients and start getting actual experience rather than all the theory and things like that. So, for a while it was just dealing with ridiculous people, people with flu and stuff like that. Ridiculous small things, which earned her a bit of money, but again, it still wasn't what she wanted to do. Anyway,
you want me to specialise? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, she just wanted to deal with something big. She wanted to not these small cases and things like that.
So in other words, she didn't want to be a GP. She wanted to work in a specialist unit in a hospital.
Well, yeah.
So she did want to specialise.
Well, she wanted. She didn't want to work in a clinic. She wanted to work in a hospital, specialised or not. It's rolling in some ways. Anyway, one day this patient came in. Oh my god, yeah, should we do it that way? Okay. So one day, what seemed like another normal day at work so she'd put on her sterile gloves and stuff like that, and she'd deal with people.
Did she change them after every patient?
Of course she did. She was very good.
Good.
She was very
I'm
good.
pleased.
Until this one day.
Right.
What seemed like a normal day, there was a car crash, a car collision right outside, on the corner outside her work. And it was pretty bad. There were pedestrians involved, and both the drivers were pretty scraped up too.
Pretty scraped.
Yeah, they both had bruises.
Wow, understatement of the century.
So yeah, it was a proper
It wasn't just
serious emergency. Yeah.
Okay.
So for as horrific as it was, Marie took this. This was her chance to kind of prove herself and actually get involved and put all her learning to the test. And she rushed out there to help people, and she went through all the motions that she ticked every box until she came to one of the drivers who had just come out of unconsciousness and was absolutely panicked. And Marie tried to calm him down, and she put her hands on him, and suddenly everything changed. The driver definitely calmed down, but it seemed like some kind of shock that she'd never seen before or read about. And it came on so suddenly, like it was like the life was being drained out of them. And so she called for help, and eventually the
You still got her hand on this person or not?
No. So yeah, she called for help, and eventually the victim miraculously sort of returned to health and actually turned out to be okay. However, they seemed to absolutely they made a very specific point that they didn't want to be anywhere near her. After all the chaos had calmed down, and they were sat in the back of the ambulance, and Marie tried to approach them and be like, "Hi, I just wanted to make sure okay." They were terrified of her. And this really struck her. And eventually, so she carried on with her course, and this seemed to happen more and more often as she started to deal with actual patients in her kind of last years. This kind of adverse reaction to her treatment seemed to become more and more often, especially when she would try and calm them down or something and just put a friendly hand on their shoulder or something like that. She became, she got a reputation for being a kind of angel of death, and it really impacted her so much that it started to impact her studies, and eventually, some of the patients obviously had more adverse reactions, especially the ones that were in critical condition. They seemed, whether she was responsible for any of their deaths is a question. Nothing could be proved, but there did seem to be this strange change in drastic drop in condition whenever Marie was around, and eventually no one would take her. No hospital, no clinic. And she ended up pretty much back on her parents' track of just just bumbling along, nothing that she ever wanted to do, and her dreams have kind of been crushed. However, this feeling, this thing that seemed to happen when people were around, or at least when she was around, when she touched people, that seemed to continue, and it was beginning to terrify her. And eventually she just wore gloves. That seemed to, for some reason, that seemed to change it, and she became, through that she became known as a bit of a weirdo because she wore gloves all the time. So yeah, so the point when Raven came back into her life, Marie was not good. She'd lost her dreams. Her friends had kind of outcast her, and yeah, suddenly Raven reappeared, and she was like, "Hey, I've got this group of friends, and we're all weird like you. You should totally join us." And you know what? Like, she was at that bottom that she actually considered it. She, years ago, it would have been an absolute no. I don't want to go down that path. But now she went to meet them, and sure enough, these were people like she'd never seen before.
There's a list.
You've got a guy that calls himself Toad, and he pretty much resembles it, his namesake. You've got a girl calling herself the Scarlet Witch, and she seems to have these extraordinary powers. And sure enough, her friend Raven kind of reveals the biggest shock to her when she reveals who she truly is. Whoa!
What?
Yeah? Who knew?
Do you want to give a bit of a drum roll? No? Okay.
Well, I think we're all figuring it out. She reveals to her, actually, that her parents aren't her real parents. And the Raven that she transforms into is a much older woman, old enough to perhaps be her mother. And indeed, she claims to be her birth mother. And has been sent by this brotherhood to observe her and keep an eye on her and see if she was worthy of membership under the leadership of someone they call Magneto. And Marie is... Do you know what? I wasn't sure where I was going to go with this, but I think I've got an idea. Marie is drawn into it, and they say that they've got a test for her. They want her... Oh my god, I think I've got a really good idea. Okay. What they want her to do is they want her to meet with a man called Charles Xavier and they give her a whole script of, I can't control my powers and I need help and I feel so alone. I'm not sure if that's going to work, is it? And they want her to infiltrate his academy. With a view, eventually, to using her powers. And yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. So she does it to the letter. They set it all up for her, and Xavier is reeled in, and sure enough, he turns up to save poor Marie, and she gives him the spiel, and this Brotherhood have given her some kind of device which kind of blocks Xavier's powers from seeing her true intentions, and Xavier offers her a place at the academy where she can learn to control her abilities and she won't feel so alone. All the while, still her strings being pulled by this Brotherhood. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
Okay. All right.
As a kind of
Cliffhanger.
snake in the grass!
Okay.
Oh man, I've got to write that down now. Alright. Wanted to be Doctor, but wasn't. End.
So how are we going to split this then, Andrew?
Right, I don't know, in all honesty.
Good. Or how should we wait until we've done all 4?
I think so.
And then the next week we can split them and decide out of. So if how about that?
Yeah, should we do it that way?
Yeah, perfect. Well then.
Oh, in which case, do you want to wrap it up then?
Well, do you want to finish off writing your note?
Well, you might as well do it now, and I'll write it.
Well, okay. Thank you very much for listening to this Earth Orange podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this ad hoc episode, which will be which is a bit kind of more off the cuff than we usually do, and obviously we'll be doing the second part next week. If you have, please leave a comment, subscribe. You can even become one of our patrons. On the Patreon link will be down below. The email is also down in the description if you'd like to send us an email. If you just put podcast in the subject line, and then we'll be able to find those more easily. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And as I always do at the end of each and every one of my videos and podcasts, I'll give you a little salute and say goodbye, and also bring me my shield.
Very well.
Anything else?
Fish?
There it is. Bye-bye now.